Last time I stood on this stage right here, I shared about the different types of bad drivers on the road and how we, the good drivers, can help improve the driving of those around us. Some of you remember that. Since then, I've discovered yet another domain in which our society has a lot of room for improvement, and that is the best man speech. Every wedding I go to seems longer than the last, and one of the biggest culprits of these delays is that guy right there. The best man himself, or the maid of honor, the matron of honor. This applies to all of them. These toasts would not be so unbearable if they were actually good, but they rarely are. They're not funny, they're cheesy, they don't have a clear message, and they're way too long. If you're anything like me, dinner is the best part of any day, and free is my favorite flavor. So I find it all the more infuriating when stuffing my face with free food is delayed by a terrible wedding toast. But it doesn't have to be this way. I'd like to help you transform your speech from a snooze fest that unnecessarily delays dinner into a toast to remember. They say the best man should never look better than the groom on his wedding day, but who really cares about that? This is your Great Gatsby party. This is your 15 minutes of fame. Well, it shouldn't actually be 15 minutes. That would be horrific. More like 5. But regardless, this is your special moment. You have everyone's attention, so make the most of it. I'll begin with a few common mistakes to avoid. And the first is that your first instinct when preparing may be to Google how to give a best man speech, how to give a wedding toast. And this is understandable for most research nowadays, but in this particular area, it's just going to be a waste of your time. There's some terrible advice out there, a never-ending list of lame jokes. Here's one that's on the top of a lot of the wedding joke blogs. It goes, "I'm sure you'll all agree. It's been an emotional day. Even the wedding cake was in tears." Do you hear everyone groan at the same time? Puns are terrible. They are overdone. Do yourself a favor and stay away. Now, we've all also probably witnessed someone who gets a minute or two into their toast and they lose all composure. They let their emotions take over. They just sob through the rest of their speech. Come on, people. You've had months to prepare for the speech, to brace yourself for your friend getting married or your sibling or whoever. Pull yourself together. But most importantly, do not be this guy. Don't sing a song or play guitar in place of a real speech. I know you're really excited to share off the 4 chords that you know how to play. But if you were as good of a musician as you think you are, your band would be playing at the ceremony or at the reception, not hijacking a toast. So those are some things to avoid. Next, I'd like to run you through an outline of an ideal speech. The key is to keep it simple. I like to use printed notes. I have some right here. You can see them in my shaking hands a little bit. But you should be able to complete your speech in 5 or 6 minutes or within the time constraints of a Pachakacha speech, which is perfect for this. Obviously, you'll want to start with a good opening line, but don't try to do too much here. Here's my go-to opening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jared, and I'm not a very good public speaker, so you'll have to bear with me here for a few minutes. This helps you look modest. It sets expectations low. Now everyone's rooting for you to succeed because they want a good toast. They want the toast to be good. Next, you'll want to thank the parents, and often, for some reason, parents still pay for the wedding, for the reception, and if they did, you should thank them for that. Everyone loves an open bar. But even if they didn't, you should address and thank both sets of parents. This helps you connect with both halves of the audience, and it's a cheap way to get some applause, which is great. I'm going to be giving my brother's best man speech. I'm his best man in 2 months or so it'll be extra nice for me to congratulate my parents on raising 3 wonderful children, including myself, of course. Next is where most people compliment the bride's looks, which I always find strange when someone says, "Wow, the bride looks beautiful today, doesn't she?" As if she doesn't usually, one. But also, I'd rather talk about how happy or radiant the couple looks, because that talks about their love for one another, which is more important than just what they look like. But whatever vocabulary you use, don't forget about the groom. No one ever tells the groom that he looks beautiful or magnificent or stunning on his wedding day. Last wedding I was in, it took all 5 groomsmen about an hour to figure out how to tie his bow tie. So we spend a lot of time looking this good, okay. Anyway, now that you have your compliments, your thank yous out of the way, you'll want to share a little more background on how you know the bride, how you know the groom. Did you grow up together? Did you go to school together? Or like these guys, did you become best friends later in life? This provides some context, gives yourself some credibility for the stories you're about to share. I'm a big fan of using a self-deprecating joke to lead into a story about the groom. Maybe you explain how you've gotten yourself into trouble on numerous occasions and needed the groom to bail you out, but then you can transition into a crazy funny story that makes you both look like idiots. You can just be like, look at me, the buffoon. But it feels less mean-spirited when you implicate yourself as well as the groom. But be careful. Many people make the mistake of telling funny stories that have no connection to the rest of their speech. You don't just tell the story about the time you two decided to parkour across the campus rooftops and you both almost fell to your death and then leave it at that. It may be a good story, but it's incomplete if you stop there. You should use the story to segue into the sentimental portion of your toast, because that day on those campus rooftops was a perfect example of his adventurous spirit. And when he risked his life to pull you onto the edge of that roof, you knew from that point on that he'd always have your back, no matter what. And you know that he'll bring that selfless attitude into his marriage as well. You can say, you're really toying with people's emotions with this stuff. It ties things together well. Okay, we're almost done. It's not even a real story, so if you felt something, joke's on you. Some of you may want to recite a quote about love or about marriage, which is fine if it has significance to you and the couple, or if it fits well in the context of your speech, but otherwise you should just come up with your own closing benediction in your own words, which brings us obviously to the final toast. And like every other section, I brought a glass up here just for this, you want to keep it short, so don't make everyone hold their champagne glasses in the air for too long. This is your chance to bring things full circle, put a nice big bow on your speech. This is your lasting impression with both the crowd and with the couple, so it's your time to bring everything home. So everyone, if you have them, raise your glasses. Here's to you, future wedding toasters. May your speech be meaningful. May your toast be memorable, but most importantly, may it be short and sweet so we can move on to what's really important this evening, and that is dinner. Cheers. Thank you.